Yeah, what's up, Chip B? So, yeah, I've done a preview of Ngannou Tyson Fury. Have a look. But there's some good undercard fights. Like I said on the bill, the pick is obviously Woodley Adeleye. I need to make a full preview of that, probably tomorrow, maybe after the win. I don't know. There's also Carlos Takam vs Martin Bakoli. There's also Simon Kean versus Joseph Parker. They're all decent heavyweight fights. I mean, they've all got a clear favourite. Even the Adeleye Wardley, which is the closest one to an even fight, what's his name? Wardley is still a 1.29 favourite. That means 3-1 on to the fools that use fractional. Now, I wanted to quickly have a look at the Simon Kean Joel Parker fight. Simon Kean's like someone I don't know that much about, right? He looks like a bit of a Chad, to be honest with you. He's got that kind of Chad, more or less face, that solid jaw, and obviously he's a heavyweight boxer. He weighs 250 pounds. But is he any good? Well, the first thing that stands out, right, is his knockout percentage. 23 wins, 22 by way of KOs, right? And, you got to ask, well, who's he fought? Well, no one spectacular. Eric Molina, who's a sort of name who gets lined up for every prospect to bang out. Stopped him 7 rounds. He stopped Serhij Liakovic in 10 rounds. But Serhij was past it by then. But that's still okay. Dylan Carmen, the ex-Canadian champion. He's Canadian, this guy. Simon Kean, which makes him sound like, as I said, some kind of solicitor. Simon Kean. Or a posh lawyer. Hello, Simon Kean. But, we pleading guilty then today. But, yeah, Dylan Carmen is not that great. He's a slugger. Again, he's got 14 wins and 13 by way of KOs. He's been stopped 5 times out of 6 losses, right? And you look at his record, he's lost to some ordinary people who I've never heard of. And he probably hadn't heard of them since. He did knock out Razor Ruddock in 3 rounds, but that was 2015. What's Razor now? 60s? I mean, I'm not laughing. It's just pathetic, but there must have been 52 then or something. Yeah? And, he's been knocked out, actually, by Mladen Milhas, who is another Canadian, who has 14 wins and 13 KOs. All these Canadians seem to have a massive knockout record, and he needs to be game. Right? But the problem is, Simon Kean got knocked out in the 4th round by Dylan Cameron. So that's Carmen, by Dylan Carmen. So that's not great, even though Dylan's a puncher, Dylan's a puncher. And they're both slightly crude brawlers. And that's one thing about Simon Kean when you look at him. He can clearly punch, but he's a bit chinny. He's been down a few times. Obviously, he was stopped by Dylan Carmen. And I think even in the rematch, he was hurt. Or they stopped that. In the rematch, he stopped Carmen in 3 rounds. So, I mean, it's great to come back and beat the man who's beaten you. But there's not much on Simon Kean's record to say he's genuine world class. Like I say, stopping Molina in 7 rounds don't mean much in 2023. Shaundell Winters, well, he's a journeyman. Stopped him in 9. Daniel Martz, another journeyman, gone in 3. Liakovic in 10, but he was shot by then. Carmen, again, a heavy punching journeyman. So, I mean, there's nothing outstanding there. And you look at his amateur record. This guy had a good amateur record. Even though he looks very crude, he does throw, he looks like a sort of, he's a muscular guy, right? He's obviously on the peds, right? But he's got power, but he holds his chin up quite high, which is always very, very worrying. And so that's probably led to him being stopped in the amateurs, right? He's been stopped. Let's have a look here. This is box rec. Amateur records are never complete. So this is all they've got on him. So that's 25 amateur fights. He must have had more. There's no doubt. But this is what they've got on him. And within those 25 fights, he got stopped 4 times. KO'd by Brazilian. No, is it Cuban? Ecuadorian guy. Called Italo Pereira. He's not that great as a pro. But he got KO'd by him. Yeah. Who else beat Simon, the solicitor, Kean? So Carl Spence, I don't know who he is. Another stoppage by someone called Juan Hiracheta. Another stoppage by Didier Bentz. You know, and these are on the championship level fights, like Canadian Championship, Pan Americans, things like that. But still, you know, if you're getting stopped that often in the amateurs, it is worrying. He did fight in the Olympics, I believe. Oh, Simon Kean, he fought. Let me have a look here. Am I tripping? Maybe he didn't fight in the Olympics. Hang on. No. The Triple B is not tripping, man. He's not tripping at all. Simon Kean fought in the 2012 Olympics, where famously a Gage won a gold medal despite losing 3 fights. But interestingly, yeah, Simon Kean beat Tony Yoka, who was who 4 years later won the gold in Rio. So that's interesting. Yoka's always been a good amateur. He then lost to Ivan Ditchko on points. That's no disgrace. I wish Ditchko would get on with his pro career properly. This is a guy who's 30 now. He's got a lot of talent, and he's just sitting there. He's 6'9" too. But anyway, so Simon Kean is obviously a bit chinny, but he can punch. Like I said, 23 wins, 22 by big way of KO. The only person to go the distance with him is a guy called Avery Gibson. I've got no idea who he is. You know, I've looked at some footage of him. You can see him. He's quite wild, you know. He has some snap in his punches. He's definitely got some power, but he holds his chin a bit high, and some of his punches are very crude. He looks like a sort of, you know, he's obviously an experienced amateur, which is weird. You know, going to the Olympics, Pan American Games, but he throws like one of those guys that's only been boxing about 3 or 4 years, and you know, does a lot of weights. So, you know, has he got a chance against Joseph Parker? Well, this is the interesting thing. So he's a 6-1 underdog, so 7.0 decimal, right? You can get that on Simon Kean. And now you would expect a guy with Parker's pedigree, especially in the pros, to take care of him. You know, probably stop him, right? Because he's chinny. But it's never that easy in heavyweight boxing. It's never that easy in heavyweight boxing. So, you know, I mean, Parker's always shown himself to be pretty solid, you know, in the chin area until he got stopped in a prediction by the Triple B, I should add. Until he got stopped by the Juggernaut, formerly the Jugger Chad, now the Jugger Bum. Okay, the Jugger Bum, after being whopped by Big Jalais Zhang. You know Joseph Parker's real name? It's really hard to pronounce, but you know what's the name? David Greenblatt loves to pronounce it, to show himself as Lupo Solilai La Aulio Le Matlita Toa, or something like that. And his build has now been out of Morecambe in Lancashire. He's actually built on Boxer has been out of Morecambe. He's like living in Tyson Fury's house, probably digging out his wife as well, which is vomitous, but you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. And you know, the stoppage to the Big Joe Joyce was his only loss as inside the distance as a pro. He's flat to deceive as a pro. He's never that good, but he still went the distance with, you know, Gage. Had 2 fights with Derek Chisora, but he also got put down. Chisora actually put him down in the first round, which is interesting. So his chin is solid, but it's not incredible. Dylan White put Parker down in the second round and the 9th. Okay. You know, these island guys usually have great chins, and it's not to say he's got a bad chin, but, you know, he's not David Tua. And in his big fights, he hasn't done that super. Yeah? He went the distance with Razvan Korjanu. Huey Fury went the distance. A majority win against Andy Ruiz, who I thought actually won it. You know, this is not great, actually, you know. Distance with Carlos Takam, right? So, you know, he's struggled with guys of the level of Chisora, Junior Farr even, to some extent. Well, they won it clearly, but, you know, went 10 rounds with Alex Leapai. You know, Dillian White guys, he sort of struggled. He was never really in it against Joshua at all. You know, I think he lost about every round. So, you could ask yourself, man, is he overrated? Yeah, he's not that great. The Morecambe native now, the Morecambe resident, Morecambe in Lancashire, living with Tyson Fury in a very fruity kind of scenario, if you ask me. But yeah, his last since his loss to Joe Joyce, he was KO'd in 11 with a great left hook to the chin. Then he fought Jack Massey, a former cruiserweight, right? And he struggled. I thought Massey won a few rounds, and you know, you would have expected him to stop a former cruiserweight. Not. He struggled a bit, lost on distance. He knocked out Faiga Opelu, who you know, another Islander who they thought, well, they might give him some kind of trouble, but nah, man. He was out of shape and got stopped in the first. So the question is this, right? Parker, who isn't that good, but you would consider him world class, especially in this day and age, would he be troubled by Simon and Kean? Because Simon and Kean be coming to win and be throwing big shots. So this is the heavyweights. Kean can punch, right? Kean can punch. There is a small possibility he could upset Parker by just banging him. And maybe Parker, who knows, maybe Parker's shell-shocked a bit after he's been in some hard fights, you know. He's been a pro since 2012, right? You know, he's only 31, amazingly. That's crazy, man. He's only 31. I thought he'd be at least 35 more. But no, he's only 31. So, you know, but I wouldn't say he's battle-worn, but he's had a lot of tough, long fights. Kean hasn't. And he's obviously going to come to try and win to make a name for himself. The Grizzly, as he calls himself. Yeah, the Grizzly. But the Grizzly's 34 himself. I don't think there's a massive chance of an upset. It'd be great to have one because upset's always exciting and you get new names. Parker's gone as far as he will and he's never been that exciting. And he's been gifted a couple of decisions. Especially against John Ruiz. And if you listen to Michael Hennessy, he was absolutely gifted a clear decision victory, stolen from Shades of Ali, Huey Fury. But yeah, I think what'll happen is he'll be game, Simon. He'll probably come out bombing. I expect he might rock Parker a couple of times, but I expect Parker to start, his better quality. It's just the way that Simon holds his chin up, you know what I mean? And he's crude. I expect Parker's more traditional boxing to get hold of Kean, probably around the 5th round. I reckon that's a reasonable bet. So let's see what happens.